Welcome to TEDCO's Entrepreneur Expo in downtown Baltimore, where the region's top business owners, innovators, and investors have gathered to network, grow, and celebrate the vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Maryland. I'm Frew with BioBuzz Networks. I'm buzzing here today with founder and managing partner Deb Hemingway at Ecphora Capital. Deb, welcome. Could you take a second to introduce your company and what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much. So Ecphora Capital is an early stage medical device VC firm based in Baltimore.
Wonderful. And tell us a little more. How long have you been around? What type of investments you do?
Yeah, sure. So we are about to finish our second year of operations, and we support early stage medical device companies. So these are companies that are moving towards the commercialization phase of their growth.
That's great. And why medtech is because Baltimore is a great medtech town?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So for medtech, we have a really unique position here and a really unique opportunity to really have some phenomenal growth in Baltimore. We have so much innovation coming out of the really phenomenal major medical institutions that we have in the area in Baltimore and throughout the state. But then there's not a lot of support for that next stage, that commercialization piece. So that's where we come in. We provide funding for the companies and we help them move to that next stage of growth. So why medtech? Because it's a really, really compelling opportunity. And also my background is in biophysics. So it's a natural fit for my love as well.
And you're a PhD to investor.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. PhD turned investor.
Yeah. Well, turned entrepreneur and investor.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about your story, your journey.
Yeah, sure. So I've always been into entrepreneurship. I was involved in entrepreneurship from a really young age. I had my first company when I was 18, which did not go anywhere. But like a true entrepreneur, you persevere through all types of failure, and you treat them as learning experiences. So I kept going and I kept working with startups, kept launching my own. And then eventually found success, became an angel investor, and I'm now at the point where I've done 53 startups and counting. So really proud to have supported so many companies.
Now, tell us, what's your experience with TEDCO? How are they involved in the ecosystem and your work?
Yeah, so we love TEDCO, and actually every single one of our portfolio companies has been funded by TEDCO at some point. And TEDCO is also a really strong co-investor for us, so we really, really value TEDCO. TEDCO provides a lot of funding from really the earliest stages and helping companies get their feet under them. Also, we know if it's a TEDCO company, we know that TEDCO has done a certain amount of due diligence and has helped the companies, get a really strong foundation. So we have a lot of confidence coming into a company whenever we know that TEDCO has invested.
Ecphora Capital, you've been around 2 years. Another thing that I know you do is you do a quarterly series to support not only your portfolio but other. Can you talk a little bit about the Ecphora Startup Series?
Yeah, sure. So we have our seminar series that meets quarterly. And what it is, it's a place where CEOs can come and grow as a CEO with knowledge and also network with other CEOs. So we try to tackle the most challenging pieces and the most intimidating pieces of being a CEO, things that especially first-time CEOs find intimidating. So we talk about, establishing boards, like a board of directors, how to run an efficient board meeting. We talk about raising capital, interacting with investors. We talk about your team and how to grow and structure your team and cybersecurity and everything. So we try to cover the whole gamut of really growing that talent that we have here and just cultivating it in terms of CEO workforce development. So
it's interesting. CEO workforce development is not a phrase you hear too often, but how critical is that to have a strong executive and CEO kind of pull in an area you're investing?
yeah, it's absolutely vital, and here in space in Maryland, we have all the innovation, and in more established ecosystems, you will have a more prevalent executive presence. But here, since we're an emerging ecosystem in the state of Maryland, we're trying to give a little boost to that growth of the entrepreneurial talent pool, especially the CEO talent pool. So trying to strengthen that. So it's absolutely critical, to have that talent and to grow it and to support it in any way you can.
Deb, why is Maryland a great place for medtech, and why is it a great place for investors to invest in medtech?
Yeah, so what we found is that we have the most compelling and exciting innovation really in the world. Like, it's all right here. And so we have, this amazing wealth of innovation like right at our fingertips. And from the investor perspective, since we haven't had as strong of of an investor presence, what that means is that it's really in the investor's favor as to what companies you want to have access to and what companies you want to invest in. So it's been a really amazing opportunity because even smaller investors, like my firm, has access to really some of the most phenomenal talent, some of the most amazing companies I've ever met. I've dealt with companies around the world, and the talent and the innovation coming out of right here in Maryland is just unprecedented. I mean, it's unparalleled. It's phenomenal. And so it's so exciting to be a part of it and to be an investor and to be able to participate and to support these companies and see their growth. Like watching their growth is just phenomenal when you're like, I've known this CEO since company was an idea. They didn't even have a working prototype. And now, and this is my own personal journey, I followed this company and now they're on the market and saving lives, changing lives. It's just amazing. It's amazing to be a part of a journey in that way.
A lot of those companies are here today at the TEDCO Expo, where we have 1,000 entrepreneurs and investors all gathering. I'm sure it's rewarding to be able to walk these halls and see companies that you've invested in. A lot of companies are part of TEDCO portfolio. And again, all in one place today. And it's a good snapshot of this ecosystem we talk about. We talked to a couple people about another asset in Maryland, which is a biotech tax credit. Is that something that you can share a little bit more about for our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Biotechnology Investment Incentive Tax Credit Program, or the BITSI, has been a really phenomenal tool. What this tax credit program does is it encourages companies to stay here. So if the companies participate, they have to stay in Maryland for 3 years. And what that does is that gets them to get established here, they build their teams here, and they just get involved and get plugged into the local ecosystem. Because since this area is such an emerging area, we don't have the more established support. So we recognize that there's a pool for our companies to leave the state and to go to other more established ecosystems like, well, I'll just name them. Boston has a really big pool for us, so we do lose companies to Boston, and we also lose companies out to the West Coast. So the BITSI program anchors the companies here from the company side, and then in exchange for the companies staying here and growing here and making jobs here, the state will offset the downside risk for the investors. And my firm is the first and only firm to get the top level of the program. It's very hard to get, so we're very proud of that accomplishment. And what this means is that it offsets the downside risk for the investors. So investors are not at a total risk of all loss of capital. So what it means is that for us, we're able to raise capital more efficiently and raise more capital and really just support the companies and grow the ecosystem here. So great program. Yeah.
What I'm hearing from you today is there's a tremendous amount of technology.
Yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of talent. A lot of it's untapped. Tremendous amount of upside for investing in this region.
Correct.
Doesn't sound like a lot of negatives that I'm hearing today.
That is correct. That is correct. And that's one of the reasons why we're so excited to be here. And we are really on the edge of this amazing explosion in terms of economic development, especially entrepreneurship here in the state. And so it's really incredibly thrilling to be a part of this journey and to be a part of such an exciting time in Maryland history. So thank you.
Well, thank you for all you do and for joining me today, Deb. Appreciate your time and sharing more about Ecphora Capital. My name is Chris Frew with BioBuzz Networks. We're here live today at the TEDCO Expo. Thank you for joining me.